We host these webinars regularly, so take a look on our homepage and choose to subscribe for notifications on future sessions. You can also access our webinars and schedule from the resources page in either the webinars and events page. That is me. My name is Diego Torres. I'm with the NHA Client Experience team, and I will be your presenter for today. So again, thank you all for joining us for today's webinar, where we'll focus on getting familiar with NHA's platform and website as a new administrative user. Here at NHA, we are fully invested in the success of you and your candidates. We take pride in doing what is right and are not afraid to use our voice if it moves the industry forward. We are here to help ensure that all of your learners, no matter their background or needs, feels confident and empowered to complete their required learning or earn their accredited certification. All right, let's do a brief introduction to NHA. Before we talk about us, I wanted to take a moment to get to know you. I'll launch a couple of quick polls and what options most closely ties to your role with your institution. Anyone who selects other, please post your role in the chat box. Let me pull up the question here. There we go. All right, so at this point, y'all you should see a poll pop up. All right, so what is your role with your institution? Alrighty, apologize, just stopping my screen share real quick, and we're back. All right, so it looks like we have a little bit of everybody here, right? So in the classroom educator, you're gonna be proctoring, program director, and one of each. Awesome. All right. Now, which profession is your institution training towards? Let me open up another poll. All right, so what professions apply to your organization? All right, oh wow, definitely a little bit of everything. We have a little bit of everything. Oh, every single institution or every single program that we offer, everybody is offering. That's great. All right, so during today's session, we're going to review NHA and the resources we provide. We'll walk through your access to the NHA website and how you can be fully enabled to run your program from there. And we'll even do a live walkthrough before getting to Q&A. So remember to stick around with us through the end so you can be entered into the raffle. So now that we've seen a little bit about you, you should know that NHA is the largest frontline healthcare worker certification organization in the industry, with over 1 million certified candidates. We are leading the industry, and we use the resources and information from our experiences and learning partners to create learning materials that widen their skills and abilities within the health field and have shown to help candidates have a higher potential to earn their nationally accredited certification. Those resources come in many formats, starting with our nationally accredited certifications in 2 sections. 5 of the 8 certifications fall within the practitioner side of frontline healthcare, including medical assistant, phlebotomist, pharmacy technician, EKG, and patient care technician. There are also three certifications in an administrative capacity, which include billing and coding, medical administrative assistant, and e-health records. In addition, NHA develops comprehensive learning tools around key learning objectives for the healthcare professions we serve. These resources range from didactic learning in medical terminology or anatomy and physiology to the development of essential soft skills, as well as clinical skills for medical assistants, administrative assistants, and pharmacy technicians. These can be used across the entire learner's journey and can be packaged together to provide a comprehensive experience from start to finish. Now that you've seen a little bit about NHA, let's talk about the possible resources in a little bit more depth. Before we do, again, let me ask you another question. So what are you hoping to take away from today? All right, there we go. Poll should appear on your screen now. All right, you're brand new to NHA, need to know everything is what we're getting the most of. We're getting some combinations that you're comfortable. This is just a refresher. Great. Thank you for joining. All right, I'm gonna keep the poll up just a few more seconds. All right, thank you so much. So you should have already received a confirmation email from nhanow.com with a prompt to set up your administrative login. If you haven't seen this, check in your spam box or junk mail. This email will walk you through the first steps to set up your administrative login, which you can access at nhanow.com. Once logged in, you have access to almost everything you could need to manage your learners and account from the home screen. This is your dashboard and is broken into two main categories. The center of the screen will provide you quick access to NHA's supplemental resources. The first link under Get Started will take you to test plans for all of NHA's 8 nationally accredited exams, and they're all available to download from this first link. This is an important area for you to know what NHA's exams will cover and to provide information to your candidates. We know this is important for you both. Which leads me to call out some information around a study NHA completed recently from over 6,000 candidates across the country to try and uncover what the common themes are for the biggest hurdles were for them to take their NHA exam. All right, so out of the options that you see here, which do you think was the most common issue reported? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and launch another poll. So which one of these do you believe was the most common reported on that survey that we did? All right, yep, majority are answering the poll. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. All right, so the answer was test anxiety, which we know can be addressed through preparation. This is one of the many reasons why it's best practice to get your candidates into their NHA accounts as soon as possible. We'll be sending them welcome emails and information on preparing for their exam. Here are just some of the hundreds of comments from that survey that focused on uncertainty, not just around general anxiety, but not knowing if they're prepared. Have they learned all the things they need? And worry about making it through the timed exam. Providing the exam test plans and NHA resources or learning tools have shown to make a positive impact. So, going back to the other resources to help with all of this in your Get Started area. These may rotate throughout the calendar year to provide you access to quick links around the first steps and frequently asked questions, as well as resources on testing or implementing NHA's materials. Scrolling down your page will show you some of the most used how-to resources that will walk you through the administrative steps you would need to manage your NHA account. Right on this list where you see the arrow, you'll see the recently upgraded Knowledge Center. This is where you can do an open search for any resource you may need, or look through the 3 core areas of the resources, including preparing learners to test, exam day troubleshooting, and supplemental implementation guides. Following this option for exam guides and resources to be able to access any forms or technical requirements, or search for any steps that you need. Like NHA's Exam Ready Checklist, which is a resource for administrators walking through the month or so before an exam occurs. The library of resources has additional tools for you as well. And searching through this page will take you to video guides and PDFs to help you, including setting up the learning content, providing access to candidates, opening exam dates, viewing reporting, and monitor applications and results. Even tools to share with your learners to help them through their preparation process. The NHA exam outline study materials are based on the NHA test plan for that certification and includes an interactive study guide as well as a series of practice tests designed to look and feel just like the exam. This package also provides the NHA focus review, a personalized study feature to help candidates as they navigate through their practice tests. These should be assigned digitally to each candidate so they can move through the materials on their own, as well as provide adequate reporting for both group and individual learner growth. That focus review is a secondary tool, which is separate from the study guide and is specific to each practice test attempt to help candidates focus further on those areas that they may still be struggling in. Those study packages are available for preparing for any of the NHA exams. Now let's review the other learning materials available from NHA. Starting with core learning, NHA has learning content focused on either anatomy and physiology or medical terminology. These address just the right amount of content for learners in entry-level roles through interactive and engaging online materials. NHA has a full pharmacy technician suite of materials that start with inherent learning on becoming a pharmacy technician through the pharmacy year. Though mapped to NHA's exam, it is designed to meet the ASHP didactic standards for learning in this critical role. We also have primary learning tools on medical math, dosage and calculations in the pharmacy year math. There are skills developers for your medical assistants as well, which include the MA Skills Builder Clinical and Clinical Plus. These provide an interactive learning experience, and they help develop and execute 39 clinical competencies employers are needing in an entry-level medical assistant. And in the Clinical Plus, also address the core foundational knowledge necessary behind those skills. In NHA's Medical Administrative Assistant, skills developers, the MA Administrative and Administrative Plus focus on the technical and job-ready knowledge to handle front and back office administrative responsibilities in skills development and core knowledge. Though we know the clinical skills are essential, administrative duties are a large part of the MA's role. These tools are also applicable for your office administrative staff. Additional skills developers or career laddering options include providing upskilling in professionalism, starting with personability. This is available in both the clinical or pharmacy setting and uses online simulations and role play to develop abilities in teamwork and emotional intelligence and communication. You can ladder further by leveraging principles of health coaching, another immersive learning tool with realistic scenarios to continue the learning and communication, but also population health management and motivational interviewing. If you're in a patient-centered care environment, any member of the care team could deepen their understanding of what it means to work in this quality versus quantity environment by using the assessment-based certification program, Team-Based Care. Another resource you can also obtain from your NHA representative are NHA's implementation guides. These guides available to you will outline the content, implementation suggestions, and time it should take for a candidate to navigate through any of NHA's study materials. You can see here a snapshot across just 4 of our 8 certification prep packages and the time it can take an average candidate to work through just the study tutorial portion, which can range widely. These guides are available for all of NHA's learning resources. Specifically for all of NHA's core learning resources and for some of our exam materials, we also provide implementation toolkits that can include downloadable and editable PowerPoint presentations aligned to the core learning, optional lesson plans outlining the core content and suggestions for implementation, optional additional testing backs and resources for implement, additional activities to help scrub and polish the learning, walkthrough videos unique to the product content, and mapping resources to accreditation, textbook, and test plans. In fact, we have mapping resources for our exam preparation resources, which you can request from your NHA representative called alignment guides. These are unique to the certification type and include an outline of the full test plan, identifying how many scored questions that will be on the exam in each domain. This also will map out where in the NHA study guide that content is covered, and if there are any additional resources within that learning content to help with the process, including videos and games. This is a wonderful tool to use to align to your students' learning, as well as review your program content to ensure there aren't any large gaps in the learning materials. There are also open columns as well, so you can plug in where in your textbook, week, or program you are covering the core content. NHA has full program maps that you could use to implement any or all of these products and help with the learner journey from start to finish. Here's one example of our medical assistant pathway, but we have many different versions. If you'd like to know more about these, reach out to your NHA representative. All right, so I want to take a quick moment and see if there are any major questions regarding any of the resources we just walked through.
Hi, Diego. This is Mary. At this time, we don't have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
All right, so again, now I know that that was a lot that we just covered. That survey link you'll get at the end of today's session. Be sure to note if you'd like anyone to follow up with you directly on any of the resources we were reviewing. Your NHA contact will be able to follow up with you with more information and answers. Now that we've seen your resources, let's talk about your access to the website and even get into that live demonstration. We've reviewed the resource part of the dashboard. The other option of the NHA website is on the left-hand side in your navigation bar. This is where you can find your administrative shortcuts, from viewing your inventory and creating your courses, to pulling reports for your program and study materials, monitoring candidate application and exam results, and depending on your role, adding or removing additional administrative users, and even viewing your exam calendar, creating test dates, and proctoring the exam. In fact, right from here is where you can get your learners started with creating their personal logins. Now, if your institution is using NHA's LMS integration, you'd want to follow the normal steps for your learners' access from your LMS. But for everyone else, you can invite your candidates to set up their logins well before providing any learning resources through the account invitation feature right from your home screen, helping to ensure that all is ready to go when it's time to start their studying. As I mentioned earlier, it's a best practice to get your learners set up as early as possible into their personal accounts. We have seen that statistically, those who do more likely to get their NHA certification as well as earn it and pass their NHA exam. All right, now let's get into the live walkthrough of those resources. All right, and here it is. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right, so this is what the administrative user login looks like. If your login does not look like this, you might have a candidate user account. Okay, so just make sure that it looks like this. All right, so one of the things that we mentioned was the Help Center, right, which is right here. We have the Help Center. If you click this Help Center, it'll take you to that screenshot that we saw earlier with these 3 different areas and also this search bar. All right, so if you forget anything that we covered today, so for example, you want to type in, how to apply for your NHA exam. I like to use this third one here, and it's going to give you a document or a walkthrough on the steps on how your learners will register for their exam. All right, now let's go back to the main page. All right, now before creating your NHA account, before creating a course, right, for your NHA, for your CCMA course, CPT course, etc., it is important that you check your inventory first. Okay, and then by doing so, you're going to click here where it says inventory. And depending on the program or that you're offering, for example, let's say the CCMA, I have enough to invite 9 learners to this course. Now let's just go ahead and create a course. All right, we're going to click here where it says courses. And here are some previous courses already created, right? But I want to create my own, right? You're going to click right up here where it says new course. You're going to get this page here. The only required field up top is the name, right? So we're going to call this one CCMA 3.0 Spring 2024. The start date and the end date are not required fields, but this is a good visual representation for you to know when this course is supposed to begin and when it's supposed to end. All right, so my course will begin today, March 7th, and then the end date will be, let's call it May 30th. The end date will not stop access for your learners, right? So your learners, depending on the content, will have access between 18 months to 2 years from when they first access the content. Right, so for the CCMA study guide, this is my course. So I'm going to include this one in the course and the practice test in the course. When you scroll further down, if you purchased any of those other core areas, such as anatomy and physiology in medical terminology, you're going to include them in course, but only include them if they've been purchased. Okay, you're going to turn that on, and then medical terminology right here. You scroll all the way to the end of the page, and you're going to click here where it says Create Course. Once you create your course, it's going to appear under the Courses tab. All right, and let's say, for example, let's say this is the course, and here it is. Now, this looks really crowded to me. I have too many courses on here, and I know some of these are no longer being utilized, right? So let's say, for example, you have last year's course, or maybe even 2 years, 3 years ago, right? To clean up your active courses, you're going to open up your course itself, clicking on Course Details. And then you're going to hit this button where it says Archive Course, and then hit Yes. Now, once you archive a course, it cannot be undone, and it will not remove students already registered in that course. Okay, all it does, it prevents new learners to be added to that course. If you want to view any of your archived courses, you're just going to click the tab up top where it says View Archived Courses. And here are all the courses that have been archived in the past. All right, now that we have a course, let's go ahead and walk through how you're going to invite your learners to that course. All right, here's my CCMA course that I created, and I'm going to hit roster. And then we're going to type in, we're going to hit this one here that says invite candidates. And then you're going to type in their emails. You can follow this mechanism here, right? Email, comma, email, comma. But my personal preference is always going to be to hit enter or a line break, right? Yeah. And then another one, third one for good measure. And then you're going to check addresses. Checking the addresses will not send anything and it will not affect your inventory. It is only going to check if these are accounts that have already been used, all right? If it's an invalid email, right? Maybe you put a comma instead of a period on the .com, so just double check the email. The second one down is that this candidate already has an NHA account, which is great, right? We want to make sure that we keep using the same account so that way they're stacking their credentials on the same account and makes it easier for their renewals. They will receive an email from NHA letting them know that they've been invited to the course. The next one down, right, this green one here, is a new account will be created. This user does not have an NHA account yet. So NHA will also send them an email that they've been invited to a course. Follow these steps to create your NHA account. Right, you're going to send those invites. They will receive those emails. You will also receive an email confirmation from NHA letting you know that the invites have been sent. We're going to click back to roster here. Those learners that don't have an NHA account will appear here under Invited by Organization. Once they click the link and create their NHA account, they will be immediately moved over to Currently Enrolled, and it will affect your inventory. All right, so now we're getting towards the end of their learning journey. So now we want to create their exam or have them register for their exam. Right? Before they can register for an exam, you need to create an exam by clicking here where it says Request Exam Date. I'm going to click here. And then you're going to submit something for the first two. These are the two required fields. So for exam date, right, let's say they're testing, somewhere in June. Let's call it June 12th. The application deadline needs to be 8 days or more from the exam date, right? So June 12th is the exam date. The last day that they can register will be June 4th. Okay, exam details, here is where you can put, the room what they'll be testing and the time, right? Although NHA does not require that they test at 10:30, just as long as the exam takes place on the 12th for this example. If required by your institution, please use the purchase order number here. The testing method will always be online, and the number of available computers will determine how many students can test on this exam section. Right, so you have 10 students, you will put 10 computers available. NHA recommends that you have 2 or 3 computers on standby just in case one of your learners does not, or one of your learners' computers just stops working. And then you'll select the exam types, right, for CCMA for this example. And then you're going to request exam date. Once you select request exam date, the exam will automatically appear on view upcoming exams. Right? I'm going to put 90 days here. And then it should appear here. Right? So it'll give you the exam date, the application deadline. Applications will say 0 or start off at 0. Once your students begin to apply, this number will begin to increase. Test method will always say online, and the status will say open up to the 8th day from the exam date. Exam type will also tell you what exam they're testing for here. On the 7th day from the exam date, the status will then change to closed. You will receive an email from NHA asking you to approve the roster. It'll have a link and it'll take you straight to where you need to approve the roster. 2 days before the exam, or 48 hours, if somebody forgets to approve the roster, NHA will automatically approve it for you, and the status will change to sent. So on applications, I have 10 learners in my class and I'm only seeing 6. Well, what 4 students are missing? To monitor your applications for your students, you're going to come here where it says View Exam Applications. Then those applications will begin to appear under first-party applications. And this will help you determine what students are missing or if nobody has registered for the exam at all. Their names will begin to appear, and then the status here will say pending approval. If the status says anything else like new or unpaid, that means that this learner did not complete the exam application and will not be on the exam roster. All right. It's going to be the end of the live walkthrough. And one of the biggest items we haven't covered today is on reporting resources. We will be holding additional webinars, some focusing just on these tools. So for now, you'll know that the moment a candidate accesses their study materials, no matter their learning content, reports will begin to load. These include filterable tools, downloadable PDFs, and deep analytics to provide you clarity in your learner's process. NHA's Learning Insight Center has reports that highlight, among other things, progress through the modules, performance in assessments, and time spent in study. Again, today's webinar is not about that content, but we will hold others, so keep an eye out in the upcoming events page to register for future sessions. As a reminder, NHA wants you to be able to address your questions when they happen. We've already reviewed the how-tos and knowledge center, but please know these self-guided resources are your first line of defense, both for you and your students, on what to do and the mechanics of how our resources and website work. There's tons of great stuff in here to use throughout the program, including a best practices video to share with students using their prep materials. If the answer you need isn't found here, then please use our client care team. They are the live chat and help center for the phone lines and are available extended hours, but not 24. This means that you and your students don't have to wait until your NHA contact is free to answer any questions that are urgent. This group of people are incredible and are all located here in the US. Their goal is to answer your questions and will stay on with you as long as you need. So please have some patience during peak call times. In addition, you have your NHA account representative. If you don't know who your personal contact is, please be sure to include an inquiry in that survey we'll be posting soon. They are here to help with all other tools and resources and to ensure you have everything you need to be successful and empower your learners to earn their certifications. If you or your institution would like any additional training, either as a group or individually, your client executive can connect with the client experience team to get something scheduled for you. So revisiting our initial ask of the items you were hoping to learn today, I'm going to post another poll. All right, so after this webinar, please select as many of the items that you now feel more confident in navigating for yourself. So you should see a poll appear at this point. I'm going to wait a few more seconds before I end the poll. All right, we have a little bit of everything. All right. So before we get to Q&A, I wanted to reiterate that this has been recording. Anyone who registered for this session will receive the recording from today's webinar. If we can't or haven't addressed your questions in the Q&A at the end of today, we'll be capturing all questions and we'll work hard to get in touch with you directly for additional assistance. Also, I wanted to take a moment to make sure you all know how thankful we are for you. I want to personally thank you for all that I know that you're doing and for being here with me today. You work incredibly hard, not to mention with everything that's going on right now. We all know that you are truly heroes and every day putting yourselves out there and working crazy hours. So from all of us, thank you. All right, so now before we wrap up, do you have any questions we would like to answer?
Diego, a few questions did come in. When a course is archived, can you go back and see the Learning Insight Center, like how they might have scored in additional practice tests that they've taken?
Yes, you can, right? So if you go to your course, and we're actually going to go to an archived course. This is the archived course here. You click under course details, and you're going to click this button that says Learning Insight Center. Now, this is an outdated, EXCPT. This is a 2.0. We now have a 2.1, and it'll look slightly different. You won't see the rest here, but you'll click this button that says Learning Insight Center, and it'll take you to our performance analytics. Any other questions?
Yes, there was one. Is the deadline for exam always 8 days prior to the exam date?
So that would be yes, right? So it's 8 days before the exam, and you can extend that deadline to 10 days, 14 days, but just make sure that you click on that date when creating the exam. Is that correct, Mary?
Yes, that is. Thank you. I don't have any other questions right now, Diego.
All right. So Hannah, can you do me a favor and post that survey link? I should have reminded Hannah to do that sooner while we're answering some of these questions live. There it is. There's one of the surveys, and the next one will come through shortly. And there's the second one. All right, so if you can please take the time to complete these surveys, one of them will put you in a raffle for a $50 gift card, and the second one will put you in a raffle for a $500 gift card. So please click those links, grab those surveys, and fill them out when you get a minute. All right, I'm going to wait a few seconds so that everybody can grab those links from the chat as a reminder. This webinar, it was being recorded, and it will be sent to everybody that registered for this webinar and everybody that attended. All right, so everybody, again, thank you so much for joining. Hannah and Mary, thank you so much for helping with the Q&A and the chat. And I hope everybody has a good day.
Thank you, Diego.
Bye, everyone.